The girl nobody helped. Long ago, in a quiet village surrounded by green fields and golden sunlight, there lived a little girl named Avantika. She was small, fragile, and poor, but her eyes carried a sparkle of hope that made her stand out. Avantika's parents had passed away when she was very young, and she had no brothers or sisters to lean on. She spent most of her days wandering the streets, looking for odd jobs. Sometimes cleaning dishes at the tea stall, sometimes selling wildflowers she picked from the forest. But more often than not, Avantika went hungry. One winter evening, shivering in the cold with nothing but a torn shawl, Avantika went from door to door in the village, asking for a piece of bread, or even a little firewood. She knocked first at the baker's house. The baker looked at her and said harshly, "Go away, child, I worked hard for my bread. If I give you today, tomorrow the whole village will line up at my door." She tried at the landlord's home. His wife sneered and said, "We are not running a charity here, go earn your food." Avantika's little hands trembled as she knocked on one door after another, but everywhere she was met with the same coldness. Some ignored her, some scolded her, and some shut the door in her face. At night, Avantika slept under a tree, hungry and cold, tears freezing on her cheeks. Years passed, Avantika grew up, but she didn't grow bitter. Life was hard, but she held on. She studied at night under the light of street lamps, working tirelessly in the day. She taught herself to read and write, and with persistence and courage, she eventually became a teacher, and later the headmistress of a large school in a nearby town. Avantika's kindness and wisdom made her beloved. She built programs for poor children, ensuring they never had to feel the hunger and loneliness she once knew. One year, a terrible drought struck the village where Avantika had grown up. Crops failed, wells dried up, and people who once lived in comfort now struggled for food and water. The villagers decided to seek help from the nearby town, where they had heard a kind and respected headmistress was helping many. A group of villagers, including the baker, the landlord's wife, and many others, traveled to the town. When they arrived at the school, they humbly asked the headmistress for help. Avantika came out to meet them. She was dressed simply, but her presence commanded respect. Her voice was calm and warm as she said, "Of course I will help. No one should go hungry. Food and water will be arranged for all of you." The villagers were overwhelmed with relief. They bowed their heads in gratitude. But then, as Avantika distributed food with her own hands, someone noticed a scar on her wrist, a scar she had received as a child when a dog had chased her through the streets of the village. Slowly, recognition spread. Whispers filled the air. "Isn't she, that poor orphan girl who once lived here, the one who begged for bread from us?" One by one, faces turned pale with shame. Memories of the cold winter night returned, the doors they had shut, the harsh words they had spoken, the indifference they had shown. The baker fell to his knees. "Forgive me, child. I turned you away when you needed me most." The landlord's wife wept. "I see now how cruel I was. You gave us food when we gave you none. How can you forgive us?" Tears filled Avantika's eyes, but they were not tears of anger. She simply said, "When I was little, I needed kindness, but I found none. I promised myself I would never let another soul feel the same pain. That is why I helped you. Not to shame you, but because no one should suffer as I did." The villagers bowed their heads in silence. Their pride was broken, their hearts heavy with regret. From that day on, they treated others with kindness, remembering always the lesson Avantika had taught them. Not with words, but with her actions. Moral of the story: never ignore someone in need. Today it may be their turn, tomorrow it may be yours. Kindness costs nothing, but its absence can leave scars that last a lifetime. If you like my story, please like, comment and subscribe.